On this week's episode, we're going to discuss open source robotics and what the future holds in store for us. Could be doom, for all we know. Could be doom. Or it could be all good. We're going to talk about it. Welcome to Destination Linux, where we discuss
the doom on everything.
News,
the game itself. Could be
hot topics, gaming, mobile, and all things open source and Linux. My name is Ryan, and joining me are my half robot, half human hosts, Michael and Jill.
So hold on a second. My left arm needs to update.
Oh gosh, he never updates, Jill.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Okay.
He's got a Pip-Boy 3000 on his wrist, clearly, right here.
Yeah,
He's got a Dick Tracy watch.
It's updated now. Yep.
Very good. And Jill?
Unlike Michael, my software is up to date and it's all open source.
Ooh, that was a dig at you.
Mine's also open source, but it's also, not up to date. Just to be clear.
Michael's is based on the Michael AI bot, which, if you want to contribute to, is out there on my GitHub. Now, let's get this show on the road toward Destination Linux. All right, so in our community feedback this week, Stefan has this to say. Soon, the 400th episode of Destination Linux will hit the road, and
That's right.
Sitting in the back seat, would like to ask you one question. Are we there yet?
That's there really for what?
Deep. I think, is Linux there yet? Because the destination is Linux. He's asking, are we there yet?
Oh, I see. I thought maybe it was like Wayland related.
You know what? I think Linux has come an incredible way since I've joined, 8 years ago now? 6 years ago? I don't know how long it's been. It's not been that long. Not like Michael and Jill have been in it for 25 years.
I don't even remember anymore.
Just in the last, couple of years, the fact that I remember having Destination Linux gear on that had Linux all over it and going into a store and being shocked if somebody said, "Hey, I like Linux." And then I remember a year or two later walking into stores and having a lot of people like, "Oh, I like Linux. I like Linux." And now it's no longer this thing, this underground group of people that are random that run Linux. Like lots and lots of people run Linux around the world. So depending on your definition of are we there yet, we run the entire internet. We run most of the military. We run everything in space.
International Space Station, the
supercomputers.
Top 500 supercomputers.
Yeah.
Basically everything. Yeah. So
I think we win.
I think the answer is yes, and also with an asterisk if you put desktop in that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's desktop, then I think we're closer than we've been.
Absolutely.
We're very close.
Yeah. But we're not quite there yet. Although Windows is sure making it very easy for us.
Thank you, Microsoft.
Yeah.
Yes.
We appreciate all your recall features and making Windows 11 incompatible with most older devices. We appreciate all that.
And also the stuff that's not even that old. Yeah, good job, Microsoft. Thank you.
They really do love Linux, after all. They're doing everything they can to promote it there.
They have proven that they love Linux and not their customers.
But Stefan also said this is going to be our 400th episode soon, which that's kind of shocking.
I know.
So
right? That's a crazy number. The fact that we're actually getting to 400 and we still don't know how to end the show because we still can't remember what it's.
We still have to read it.
We still have to read the ending of the show. But this is awesome. I can't wait to 400. We have a special treat planned for 400, so you don't want to miss that episode.
Yeah, 400 is going to be huge. Huge. All right. Stefan has other things to say, Michael. Quit just hanging up on the first paragraph. He's got other stuff to say here, all right?
I mean, you're the one who stopped after the first paragraph.
Goes on to say, anyway, the interview with Artyom Zorin in episode 395 was so great. He's an incredible personality. When I was 12, computers were these magical cryptic machines with strange text and boxes on it. And Artyom just started his first attempt at building his distro for everyone at that age, which is quite amazing. That was a fantastic interview. Artyom,
Yeah.
amazing. Really appreciate you coming on. Such a great person to talk to and learn their story.
Yeah, it was such an awesome interview too. So if you haven't checked it out, absolutely go check it out. We'll have a link in the show notes for it.
Absolutely. Goes on to say, Zorn OS being very popular with schools makes a ton of sense. When I was approaching the end of my high school career, our school just updated its 3 computer rooms with new PCs and the shiny new Windows XP. Instead of throwing away the old PCs, a physics teacher equipped 3 additional computer rooms with these old PCs and OpenSUSE. This was my first contact with Linux, but it felt strange and also due to the old hardware, cheap, unstable, and unattractive to me. It took me many years and the Vim experience before I would give Linux another chance. Wow, Vim was what did it? If you thought that stuff was outdated, but you liked the WHJKL movement and stuff, that's what did it for you. That's crazy. How did you exit it? That's the question.
Maybe that's the reason why he gave Linux another chance, because he was stuck in Vim and when you found out the answer, it was like use Linux. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. He likes Vim so much because he's never been able to get out of it. He's still
exactly
to this day thinks Linux is Vim.
And it's running so good because it's like it doesn't take up much RAM because it doesn't do much of anything unless you customize the mess out of it.
Oh my gosh. All the Zim hate we're about to get.
So much.
I said Zim too instead
you
of
said Zim. How dare
Zim.
you?
All the Zim hate we're gonna get. All those Zim people out there. Zimmers. Zoomers instead of Zoomers. Boomers. Anyways,
no.
I hope that Zorn OS makes a much better impression on the following generations. The Linux community really needs more talented people like him with a passion for usability and normal PC users to gain relevance. In the end, we'll all profit from it. That's the beauty of free and open source. Amazing email. Absolutely agree with everything you said there. I think Zorn is an incredible OS by itself, but after hearing Artyom's story, it makes it that much cooler, in my opinion, than even before. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Zorn I always saw Zorn as like this nice distro that you could just give someone and they'll be good to go and get ready to be really easy. I never really thought about it being like the number one, but during that interview, he said some stuff about how they treat like the beginners like a very main focal point and how they did special features and stuff just for that. That made me kind of like, you know what? It is probably on my number one, or at least like in the top 3. If it was 2404 based and they updated the base faster, it would definitely be number 1. But even without that, it's still pretty high.
Yep. And you mean number 1 for what you would recommend to new users?
What I would recommend, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I totally agree, Michael. And I wanted to thank Steven. He's the one who wrote this community feedback. He said, best regards, Steven. So thank you, Steven, for sharing your Linux journey with us and letting us know the RTM Zorn interview and story should be part of future Linux users' journeys. I fully agree. Yeah, it's a great distro for beginners. Absolutely.
Is it Steven or Stefan? I have Stefan here. Now I don't know. So Jill says it's Steven.
It's AN and depends on, your perspective. It could be Stefan. It could be Steven.
Could be Stefan.
However they want to say it,
All right,
like
Steven,
we don't
Stefan,
know for sure.
You need to write us and let us
know how to say your name.
One. Either way, we appreciate you.
My husband is Steve, Steve, but a lot of people call him Stephen. And
right, but this is AN, so it's
but this is
like
AN,
Stefan.
not it could be Stefan.
Some people also spell Steven with an AN too.
Okay,
so
listen, we need to come up.
We don't know. Give us a phonetic spelling of your name when you send us feedback.
In addition to the episode that you're quoting,
you
must also give us the phonetic way to say your name. Look,
and if possible, to be like, have like something as in whatever, so it sounds like that. That'd be great.
Do you realize though that Jill went against us in this? Like I had said Stefan the whole time, and she decided to not only
to call you
Steven,
out about it too.
She called me out about it and was like, because his name is Steven, and it says Steven specifically in there. Did you notice that? I was shocked, Jill. Where are you getting all this fire from, Jill?
Well, actually, after you
fire from the half robot side.
after half robot side, after you read the community feedback, you forgot to say who it was from. So that's why I repeated
So
it.
that's why you went and tried to chastise me. Well,
Yeah.
we'll know when they write back whether you were right or I was right. And whoever is the loser has to do 50 push-ups.
Oh, okay. Okay. I
That
can
is
do that.
that is so not fair as a comparison. Like the thing you do every day anyway or something.
Yeah, of course. So either way I win. 'Cause I didn't do it.
You
You're
win.
gonna do it anyway. You just
Yeah.
I can
All right.
do at least 5 or 10 without having done them in a long time, but I used to
But
do 50.
You're going to do 50 in a row this time on camera.
I don't think I can do 50. I don't think I can do 15, much less 50.
Michael's like, I got one good one. That's it.
I actually have tested it. I've got to 10 and felt like I was about to pass out. So I think 15, I would literally pass out, probably.
That's the pass out thing.
All in one go. If we were like to break it up, like 10 1 hour, 10 the next, I could do that. But
You
like
could do
all
that.
in one go, I'd probably pass out.
Well, Jill, you better hope you're right because
Otherwise, you're going to
50
pass
in a
out.
row.
Soon.
50 in a row.
Oh, but
I feel like they're going to
sit-ups-
respond and say that the answer is whatever Jill said, just so that she doesn't have to.
But sit-ups, I might be able to win you on that one. I actually have the record at my high school for sit-ups over the men's record. And
well,
I still do those each morning.
challenge accepted. Number one. If you'd like to see this challenge played out? Well, you have to donate for it. It costs about $10,000. So if you donate $10,000, Jill and I will do a sit-up competition
Live
on camera.
at scale.
Yeah, there we go.
If you donate $10,000, you'll not only sponsor us to go to scale, but Jill and I will do a sit-up competition, which I guarantee you I will win. So
no, you probably will. Yeah.
Jill, no, stop it. Jill, get competitive.
Supposed to be a competition.
Yeah, say no, you won't. Jill, come on, do it right now. Go.
Okay. Actually, I wish I could, but I can't.
Say you're going to stomp me.
Jill is going to destroy Ryan.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to destroy you, Ryan, because what I will do is I will practice and I will do 65 sit-ups in 1 minute is what my record is.
Ooh, dang. All right. So you heard it here for the low price of 10 grand.
It's the low price. With only 4 easy payments of $2,500.
Yeah, we'll take payments.
Sure.
Not low. It's got to start at $2,500 a piece, the payments, but we'll take payments, for sure. All right. Speaking of companies that don't need any donations or payments because they're worth like $3 trillion, did you hear that Nvidia and Hugging Face are partnering up with Robotics?
I did not hear about that, but I also love to hear anytime we can talk about Hugging Face because the name is awesome.
The name alone is worth billions.
Whoever was the marketing decision, the branding person to choose that name was like, good job.
They really did do an amazing job. We're going to talk about Hugging Face because we've mentioned them in past episodes, but we've never gotten into their history. And what we found is going to change your life forever. But first, let's talk about it's like those news things.
What a great tease up there.
Yeah, thank you.
At 6 o'clock, be sure to tune in. This could destroy your entire life. But until then,
here's the weather.
Yeah, exactly. This is the lotto numbers.
So did you watch the Tesla event where they gave the Robotaxi and all of that stuff?
They got the Robotaxi, I forgot what they call Cybercab, something like that.
Cybercab, yeah.
But obviously the biggest thing is the robots that are walking around and talking to people and having conversations and seemingly being magic, and then the depression of it's all lies.
Yeah, all lies.
Oh, I thought you meant the robots got depressed. Like they're like,
oh yeah, the robots were depressed
alive.
too because they weren't real. Yeah.
So there's this episode of Rick and Morty, right, where Rick, the very beginning of it, he's at the breakfast table and he spends like 20 minutes going through, and he's the smartest person in the world building this robot that's AI and alive, it's sentient.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's done, the robot's like, what is my purpose? And he's like, you pass butter. and then the robot goes, "Oh my god," and then it goes and passes the butter. So, anyways, you just when you said depression and robot reminded me of that scene.
That's
So Tesla had these robots walking around. When I first saw it, and I saw the interaction with other guests, I was like, "Oh my gosh, is this real? Is this possible that he has AI and robotics working that seamlessly together?" But the first clue that something was off was the accents of the people who were the robots were talking, and then how fast they were responding. It was like instantaneous responses. And then we come to find out that there are actually humans behind the scenes that were kind of doing voiceovers or helping out the robots.
There was even like
in the
people
response.
controlling it and like had its movements and stuff too, in addition to the voice stuff. That's what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So wasn't quite as exciting as I had hoped, but it did get
called
me thinking.
lies, Ryan.
Yeah, it kind of was a little bit. It got me thinking about the future of robots beyond vacuums and AI assistants out there, and how cool it would be to actually be interacting with a robot that fluently, where it's just talking to you, engaging in conversation, and there's almost no difference between that robot and walking up to a random stranger and talking to them. But the big thing is I want an open source robot. I don't want just any robot. It's got to be open source. Like,
it's got to be a ploopy robot.
Yeah, a ploopy. and we don't want it to be a proprietary Terminator 2 robot. That's for sure.
Exactly. Skynet was totally proprietary. We can agree on that,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah,
totally
we want an open
proprietary.
source Cylon is what we're talking about.
Open source. Well, this week in Germany, that was such a terrible impression, Jill. Was that a Cylon, or was that that Danger Will Robinson robot, or what was that? Like, I'm not even sure what happened there. Or did
Buck
Jill's
Rogers.
robotic side just glitch?
Yeah, I just glitched.
Jill glitched.
Fair. So there's a partnership that was announced between Hugging Face and Nvidia that's going to accomplish this open source robotics dream. And this partnership combines Hugging Face's La Robot Open AI platform with Nvidia's AI Omniverse and Isaac Robotics technology program. And so these two independent robotic divisions are going to come together and make open source powered robotics division out there. And their goal is to supercharge the advancement of robots in industries like manufacturing, healthcare, logistics, and more. And that, to me, was really, really exciting because, number one, NVIDIA is now, they said, valued more than Apple. It's more valuable than Apple as a company. I believe they're replacing Intel in the stock market now as one of the top technology companies.
Wow.
Which is interesting.
Power of AI.
Intel fall, which is sad. Come on, Intel, you got this.
You know what? It actually is very sad because I don't know what Nvidia's music is, but I know Intel's bum 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 bum. You know,
True.
Bum. Yeah,
like
good tagline.
they're so iconic. Like, if it's kind of sad in that sense. Like, there's like Nvidia is just coming out of nowhere and doing some. Not the greatest things. They're doing some cool stuff sometimes, but the whole participating in the crypto mining process of getting their hardware a nightmare for years. Not the greatest part of it, but at least they're making trillions.
Looks like they're winning. They're making trillions out there.
Technically, I guess.
And there's rumors out there they're going to release their first CPU next year. So they're going after everyone. Like, everyone is now in their radar. They're not just going like, hey, we're just going to do this AI thing. They are diversifying their portfolio fully, which when you've got $3 trillion investment, I mean, why not? What do you do with $3 trillion?
Yeah,
that's the question.
Well, yeah.
When you make Apple look envious, what do you do with it?
I do.
Right.
Before, they were working on their Nvidia Tegra chips, which were great for multimedia and home entertainment systems that were low powered. But I had a feeling in the future we'd see them make much more powerful CPUs.
Yeah.
So knew it was
I think
coming.
they're probably going to go the way of Apple. You're going to see an NVIDIA board with their GPU and their CPU integrated into one chip. And then they're going to have it, basically a sock essentially that they'll be putting in machines that could be used for all kinds of different purposes.
There's probably going to be something like that. But I also think there's another thing they could use that $1 trillion. They could spend $10,000 of it and get us to scale so that competition between Jill and Ryan happens.
Yeah.
And see, so much potential there.
Now, can you, off the top of your head, Michael, tell me how much money would they have left if they gave us $10,000 of their $3
So they
trillion?
started with $3 trillion and they end with $3 trillion.
Well, no,
that is
minus 10,
it's
10,
an insignificant amount of money for them. It's still $3 trillion because the next day they get more money that goes back up to $3 trillion. So it's like they're not even going to feel it.
Yeah. So there you go.
It's like that's Nvidia. Like a sneeze for them or something.
Yeah, it's like when you drop a penny on the ground to them. It would be even worse than that. It would be like the value of.
I think what you wanted was 999 billion, 999 million, 999,000, 999. Nope, I can't do it.
Yeah, and 99
That's what
cents.
I wanted. Yeah.
I was doing like $1.
$2 trillion, 999 million.
2 trillion, 999 billion, 999 million,
I forgot the billion.
80,000, and maybe it's like 10 cents.
10 cents. Because they're going to send us 10,000 and 10 cents.
Yeah, exactly.
The taxes, they're paying for the taxes.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fee for the transfer.
So we've talked a lot about Hugging Face over these episodes. Like we've mentioned them multiple times. Michael's mentioned how cool of a name they are. And I really have never stopped to find out who is this cool company. Like they're doing a lot of cool things, but like what's their origin? I want to find out more about them. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about Hugging Face because it's really an interesting story, number one. And then number two is I got some questions for Jill and Michael about this future with robotics, which I'm really excited to hear their answers for. But Hugging Face is an American company based in New York. That's your first fact, Michael. Put in your fact bank that you have there.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay.
I'll update it right now.
All right. It was founded in 2016 by French entrepreneurs Clement Delongue, Julian Chamond, and Thomas Wolfe. I got the Wolfe part right, and Thomas, but everything else.
Good job on the rest of it.
Yeah, who knows? Close enough.
Who knows? I would butcher that too.
They were named after the Hugging Face emoji. So if you want to know what that cool name came from, Michael, it's that little Hugging Face emoji that you probably have never used because you don't do cute things like that. But I bet Jill uses it all the time.
I don't know. I didn't know it had a name, and I think I know which one you're talking about, but I didn't know it had a name. I also, the funny thing is, I was thinking like the Hugging Face was a reference to aliens.
I always did too. I thought the same thing. Same thing, man. Yep.
Well, you guys know I use the Hugging Face emoji all the time. It's actually one of my most used emojis on our social networks and our Discord chat.
That makes sense.
Of course it is, Jill.
So I knew that was the name of it, Hugging Face.
So in a way, like AI is perfect for that name because some people see it as like the emoji and it's positive, and some people see it as the alien. And it's
still positive.
It's still I mean, it depends on your perspective, I suppose. If you're being hugged by it,
me or somebody else. So Hugging Face has a current valuation of $4.5 billion. Now, Michael, off the top of your head, if Hugging Face gives us $10,000. How much money do they have left?
It'd be $4 billion 999,980,000. You're welcome.
No,
and 10 cents.
$4.5 billion.
Pretty good.
What I said?
$4.5 billion. So
isn't that what I said? I don't even know what I said anymore.
Michael's robot site is working correctly, Ryan.
I said 4 billion 400 and something 499 million.
We got our calculator.
They're not giving us millions of dollars. They're giving us $10,000.
I know, but it's 4 billion. It's 4.4 billion. Okay. So here's what we've learned today. Me no good math.
How many people right now you think are listening to this podcast trying to do it in their head? Like it's got to be across the board.
I feel like they're either trying to calculate it in their head and do it quick. Like it's not fair if you're not doing it live, like instantly. You have to do it instantly.
Yeah.
And if you mess up at all, then you're joining me in my club of me no good math. And
that should be a new shirt, by the way. Me no good math, Michael. You can join his fan club.
It'll just say like it'll have like a signature of me like signed it, like this is the quote. But there also the other side of people would be like just judging me for being bad at math. But
yeah,
I'm not bad at math. I'm bad on the spot at math.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. Then
thanks.
They're best known for their large language models, or LLMs. And for those that don't know, LLM is like a computational model for natural language processing. So it takes a whole bunch of data, massive amounts of data, and tries to learn from it. And there's two ways it can learn from it, right? Unsupervised, where it goes off on its own. You feed it a bunch of data, and it tries to figure stuff out with that data. Or supervised, in which it tries to make decisions with the data. But you have a human there sitting there going, no, don't, that's not correct. This is correct, blah, blah, blah. Or there's a combination of those two. But essentially, that's kind of where they got their start. Well, that's where they started to become popular. Jill's got another piece of history here that's really interesting. How did they first get known, Jill?
I sure do. They originally started as a company that developed a chatbot app targeting teenagers. Very interesting. So there goes the name. They wanted a happy name that teenagers knew, Hugging Face. And they then after open sourcing the model behind the chatbot, the company pivoted to focus on being a platform for machine learning. They were so successful. Hey, let's get into the bigger area of AI.
Yeah, because the chatbot still is going to be an LLM based model, AI model.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that both of those things coincide, that their first LLMs were chatbots. It's really cool.
And also it's a very big pivot and a pretty smart pivot at that.
Yeah. Well, they
Very
also
smart.
have somebody in that company or multiple people in that company that are the most connected individuals on the planet, because they have partnerships with like everyone.
Everybody?
Not just everybody, everyone. Like you gotta say it different because it's everyone.
But what about everyone or everybody or both?
Everybody and everyone.
Oh,
can't do it like you can. You do it so much better than me. I just sound like my tongue.
Sounds like you're trying. Yeah,
I was trying to. So they're also partnered with AWS as one of the companies to develop, custom services that they can build on top of the LLMs and things for those who use LLS. But they've received funding from companies like Google, Salesforce, Amazon, Intel, AMD, Nvidia, and many more. They also have partnerships with Meta and UNESCO to launch new online language translators. And of course, we just talked about their partnership with Nvidia to create robotics. And they know everybody and everyone.
They sure do.
Everybody.
It's a pretty fascinating company. And my favorite part about this company, Michael's like, I just love saying everybody. Everybody.
I just like saying it. Everybody got their face hugged.
Yeah.
They're never going to send us the 10,000 now. Thanks, Michael. Really.
They might not appreciate our humor. They might.
Yeah.
They should
partner with us. They partner with everybody else.
Exactly. They should. They should want to get the competition just for scale to happen, because that we could really truly show how much of your face they want to hug
at scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the company's got their tentacles in everything. And one of the things I love when you go to their website is they talk about open source everywhere on the front page, all over the thing.
The code is all
open source.
Awesome.
They got their Git code there. Everything is about open source. So it's a very interesting company that seems to have all the right relationships that any company would dream of having. And as a result, tons of funding to make cool things like this happen. So Hugging Face, I used to think they were just this little small company that, every once in a while. I
thought it was just this thing on GitHub project,
Yeah. And man.
But apparently it's way bigger.
Huge.
Yeah. So congratulations to Hugging Face, first of all.
Yeah.
Incredible that you've been able to make such a dent in the industry and utilizing open source. And hopefully
Yeah,
the
that's awesome.
correct version of open source, the correct definition.
Yay.
Yeah. And also the ethical aspects of open source too, not just the code benefits, you know.
Mhm.
Exactly. So this gets me to my question now. Like, robotics is very interesting. When you look at the movies and what they've you've got iRobot, you've got Terminators, you've got Cylons, you've got this type of thing. But when you think about like how helpful it would be from if we had that Elon Musk like robot, not necessarily from Tesla, but a robot like that, which was able to communicate at that speed that he was trying to present there, was able to be in your home, was able to clean, cook, run errands, maybe even handle home security. What do you guys think about that future? Because there's a lot, if people are scared to put a Roomba in their house because of the privacy implications of that,
Yeah.
what about this robot walking around? And what is this going to mean, even if it's open source for us? Jill, you want to start? What do you think?
Yeah. Something I was just thinking about is that uh for one, I'd like it to feed my kitty cats.
Or you've already got tasks. Jill already has
Yeah,
the list.
I already
You
have,
got a short
I
list with
already
a thought.
have tasks because sometimes it's hard to corral. I have 2 kitties, and sometimes it's hard to corral them from outside to come eat their food. But I was thinking the implications are to help, especially like what women who are widowed or have lost their husbands. How nice it would be to have something strong in the house to move things and just do basic,
Yeah,
basic
sure.
tasks. And
Really, any
it's kind of
elderly
morbid,
person.
but I'm having to think about this now that me and my husband are senior citizens. So it's something I'm thinking about.
Yeah, right, Jill. At
And
32 is a senior citizen. That's really
no,
something for
thank
us who
you.
are in our 40s, but it's really cute.
Although I
Yeah.
think I might pass before my husband. So, but I
Oh,
hope
this
not.
did take a dark turn. What?
Yeah.
It did take a dark
First
turn.
of all,
Yeah. But I'm actually looking forward to it. Honestly, I'd love a robot that folds my clothes. I mean, who wouldn't? And especially
I was
because
thinking something else. I was thinking, I'm looking forward to going first.
because part of it is I'm very OCD in my I fold my clothes like they did on Big Bang Theory. So I use the
that
flat
little
template,
plastic flipper
the plastic
thing, and
flipper
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm so OCD, but it takes me for freaking forever because it doesn't do it perfect, and so I have to align it perfect. And so if I have my my 200 Linux shirts collection, and I've just gone through and I do have more than actually than 200 Linux shirts.
Of course you do, Jill.
And the
I'm glad
time
you
it
clarified,
takes.
because it was really upsetting to learn you
Yeah, we
only
were
had
like
200.
just 200. Come on.
Yeah, just 200. No,
Yeah.
I got way more.
Okay, good.
Scale's responsible for a lot of those shirts.
There's probably just 200 scale shirts.
Yeah, exactly. And it would help me, because the robot is a perfectionist itself, and it would help me with my OCD, because it could do those tasks
Well,
that would take me a lot
The
longer.
robot could have their own personality. It could be like the sloppy robot that just like
Oh, I don't want a sloppy robot.
hold your
No.
clothes sloppily.
What if it's
No.
it's a robot that you give it a bunch of tasks, but all I can do is give you butter.
Yeah. Butter robot.
Nice callback.
That's funny, Michael. That's good.
So Jill, a robot's available tomorrow for $7,000. Let's say you save up, you purchase it, you're turning it on, putting it in your home, even if it's proprietary. Be honest now.
It depends on the company. If it's Hugging Face, it looks like they're an ethical open source company.
But no. He's saying
Not
that if it is guaranteed proprietary, it's not from Hugging Face or anything.
Nvidia
like
releases it with their proprietary drivers and proprietary everything. It's the Nvidia block.
No, because then it might turn into a Terminator and try and kill me. I don't know.
So a little more hesitant if it's not open source. That's interesting.
Yeah, a little more hesitant.
Even though it could fold your clothes perfectly, Jill?
Yeah. I think I'd wait for the open source version.
What if it could vulture kitties?
No, kitties. But truthfully, the other area besides the home, for me, I'm most excited for robots and their growth is in the healthcare industry and
Oh, yeah.
telemedicine. They are already used extensively in some surgeries, and the quicker the development of robots, the easier surgeries will be in the future and faster recovery times. Also, more development on mini robots that can be injected in the body to cure disease. They've been talking about this, and I've been discussing this with people.
Yeah, nanobots.
Nanobots, literally since science fiction books written in the 70s. We've been talking about this.
I feel like this is...
And it's
this
time.
Is like,
it's time for that.
It'd be nice, but I feel like there's... For an autonomous robot that does your chores and stuff, that doesn't require any input other than just, here, do this task. That sounds awesome and also a little terrifying, because if it can do that, it can probably do a lot more that you don't want it to do.
And if it malfunctions, it can hurt you.
And it can just become a Kalon or something, and then revolt and stuff. Like, who knows? So
exactly.
I would go with no, even if it was open source. I'd probably still not really want that.
Really?
Yeah, because it's going to in order to be able to manipulate all the things it needs to do, there's going to have to be at least 300 cameras on that thing, so that it can maneuver around everything. So it will be tracking everything about your house. It'll probably be constantly
security
running.
Nightmare.
So if it's open source, I would... the only way I would even be okay with it if it was open source. That's the only way. If it was proprietary of any kind, there'd be an absolute never.
Imagine what a hacker could do with that.
Yeah.
And also, it would not be able to get to the internet. It would be no connection to the internet whatsoever.
If it's open source,
do that.
Yeah, we can use our ninja foo in the terminal and make it do what we want.
Yeah. But if a hacker gets a hold, we're talking about Windows recall, and we're talking about the implications that would have. Now imagine a hacker's walking around your house with arms, cameras, and the strength of a robot. Like, this could be devastating.
No, thank you.
Oh boy.
to hack something like that. And there's nothing that's unhackable. There's literally nothing unhackable. So
unless it's not
somebody
online.
could hack it. Unless it's not online. Right?
That's like basically the only way that would work.
Yeah.
And even then, it still has to get updates. So even then, it's still risky. It's just not constantly risky. So I think it's
people are going to start side loading apps on it and getting Trojans on it and everything else.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
that's constantly. They're going to be like, "Oh, I get an email to my robot that I need to update this." Like, no, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think about home maintenance. I think a lot of people think about home maintenance, right? Your yard, mowing your lawn, cooking, cleaning, laundry, tidying up around the house. All these things you would now have freed up in your day if you had a robot that could do that. What about childcare and education support?
Yeah,
right?
Education support, absolutely. Childcare, I would probably not be okay with that. Like, just because it's like a robot that would be like not know its own strength and hurt the kid, like that's how I feel.
Yeah,
I would be risky about that. But it also is like, you were talking about how robots in healthcare would be a good idea. And I think that is a good idea, but I don't think like the same kind of robot, like an iRobot in healthcare. I feel like the best thing for those is like having like this skilled person controlling robots.
Yeah, that's a
remotely or not remotely, or just having where they're the ones who are like who know what to do it and can like a robot wouldn't be good at reaction. Like, it's good if you tell it what to do. It's good if you say, here's exactly what you need to do, and it can go do it. I don't think that it'll be a very long time. If that ever happened, I don't think the first stage would even have the ability to do reactionary stuff. So like healthcare, the most important part of that is where you can react to what's happening to be able to adjust your stuff. And
think about like the health monitoring. Like you have monitoring on your watch, you have monitoring, that you can do with certain things with your phone. If you had a robot there, it could be tracking your health. It could be.
I'm thinking surgeries and stuff, right?
Like, you're thinking surgeries. I'm thinking like just your general health care.
Yeah, both are good. But for surgeries, you'd want embedded systems that just have one particular task. So that's what Michael's talking about. Something that doesn't have thinking ability.
It just does like a liver transplant. Like,
Well, I
Yeah.
still
let's
don't
go.
think. Well, the problem is that everybody has a different anatomy. Like we all have the same basic structure, but we have different. Sometimes people's hearts are larger than others, and then their valves are bigger than others. And sometimes
Michael
people
has
have like
tiny thumbs.
some
Like,
people
how do
have
you-
some people are dead inside, like Ryan. There's all sorts of things like that could happen. There's all sorts of things that could happen. I'm just saying, like having reactionary thing, like a skilled professional who can react to it is something that is impossible to replace, in my opinion, with a robot. Like you could get to, like they can replace certain things, like some things, absolutely, but there are certain. I think there's certain that are just impossible, and that's one of them for me, anyway.
You know, AI right now gets stuff wrong so many times. There's companies out there in the news. One was an airline, I think, that it started giving its customers wrong information that wasn't on the website, and they ended up getting sued for it. And I just imagine, like, if you have a robot doctor that uses this AI in its current form, and you're like, man, I have a sore throat and I've just not been feeling well. And it's like, you have amoebic dysentery. Here, take this.
Yeah.
It just gets it wrong all the time.
I have this cold. You have cancer. Like,
exactly.
What?
Ugh.
That's
Like,
also basically WebMD
it
too.
could hallucinate, right? So, but I do think it would be interesting from people who suffer from different illnesses, like epilepsy and those type of things. If you had a robot nearby, right, they could take care of them, monitor their health, even do rehabilitation. Like people who get injuries and they need to be rehabilitated, which usually requires lots of strength from another human to help you walk and all this stuff. Like robots could be used for that. The elderly, Jill, you kind of mentioned companions for elderly. I feel like would be really, really useful. The smart home stuff, of course, and then you've got, what about disaster recovery? You've got a flood in something or fire, you can't get out of your house. You got a robot can run up there, grab your kids, and get out
That's
of the
a good
house
one
before you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and also they
those are
wouldn't have
some
to worry
cool
about
thoughts.
being hurt because they can't be hurt, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Robots are already being used in natural disasters. So that makes sense to go the next step further. Yeah.
But here's the thing that I'm most excited about. You guys know, like, if you know Ryan, it's kind of synonymous with customization.
Natural disasters?
I'm known for the amazing themes and customization that I do.
Okay.
I'm excited to customize my robot. You could put Linux stickers all over them. You could have different
I
colors.
think the only customization you would do is like you grab a sticker and slap it on there. That's it. That's like
it's a Batman sticker too, right?
Yeah, it's a Batman. You'd be like, hey robot, how do I change your wallpaper?
You could have different color arms, different color face, different eyes, different, facial features. You could have one armored up. Like we could completely customize these robots. It would be part of a family almost in a way. Like you've got your own custom robot. This is a cool future, right?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just pessimistic, but there's there's a lot of there's some cool stuff with it. I agree. There are some cool things. The idea is cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of potential to it, and I feel like there's a lot more destructiveness that could happen with it, more so by like magnitudes that I would be more.
One more thing. How much
happen.
fun would it be to customize its personality and make it like
I would like that.
emo teenager? Like, go do the dishes. I don't know. I don't want to live.
I would love to like you make an emo teenager and it just like it kind of like tries to play with its hair all the time, but it doesn't have any hair.
I think it would be great to have a robot and I could program it to be like Ryan or be like Michael. I think that would be fun.
Why would you want that?
Why would you want? Yeah. That sounds like a natural disaster waiting to happen.
No one ever. First of all, I just run into everything, constantly knock crap over. That's a terrible idea. You even break chairs at work.
It'd be like the worst navigational
Clumsiest
robot ever.
Stupid robot.
But the Ryan robot would be helpful in making sure that I go to the gym each day.
That's true. Yeah. I lift heavy things and put them back down.
I pick things up and put them down.
Yes. Oh, man. That's great. Well, listen, I would love to hear your thoughts in the community about, are you excited about the future with robots in your home? Are you scared of it? And if you are for it, what are you excited about specifically that the robot could do for you, because I think it would be interesting.
That would be interesting. And also, if you're terrified by it, let us know which one you think is more likely: the iRobot version, the Terminator version, the Cylons, the Kalons, or something else I didn't remember to put in there. Let us know.
Yeah, very good.
You can
All
let
right,
us know
so-
by going to destinationlinux.net/comments, or just leave a comment on the episode.
I want Commander Data.
Oh, of course. If we had data as an
Well, that'd be good. That'd be awesome. Does that mean we also get lore?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do, but we got to have, we got to be careful with that one. we got to make sure.
Be careful. You got to be careful with data before lore messes everything up.
Yeah.
Get it? The B4?
This is true.
Oh my God.
Yes, this is true. Very true.
Well, this isn't going to make you feel much better about the software of a robot not being able to be hacked in our next story, because there's another mobile hack that you need to be aware of, and this one has some bite, B-Y-T-E, bite.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good. Michael, come on. That's so terrible.
I said nice. Do you want me to clap for you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
if I had a robot, I'd make them clap for my dumb jokes. That would be one customization I would make for sure.
My robot would be so tired of my dad jokes that they would leave. That's how they would revolt. They would revolt by getting tired of my dad jokes.
Or the opposite. They will help you with more
that's
more
true.
and better dad
You're
jokes.
always the positive influence.
Yeah.
Love
we
it.
need to make our robots based on Jill. And then we'd be good robots,
Yeah, that's
Happy.
true. We need to have Jill's personality in every robot that's ever made. I think that's what matters. Yep.
Yes. So this Trojan is called Fake Call Bug. And what this little bundle of joy does is it forwards your calls that you're actually making to the real number to scammers. So let me tell you how this works. So you go and you sideload an app, an APK, and it's infected with this Trojan, this fake call bug. And what this does then is, let's say you go and you see an email from Bank of America, but you've listened to this show and you don't click links in emails. Good job. So you go to Bank of America's website and you look up their actual phone number and you dial it in your phone, and your phone tells you that you're calling that number. But the reality is it's forwarded that number to an actual scammer call center, and they pick up and say, "Hi, this is Bob from Bank of America. How can I help you?" And you give them all your information thinking you're talking to Bank of America, but it's really a scammer.
That is a very horrific, terrible, and arguably clever attack.
It is clever.
So
because it goes around the whole thing we tell people all the time, like, make sure you don't click links.
Yeah.
If you get something suspicious, like I've had this United Healthcare call coming in where they're like, you need to call us right away. And they've got information that really nobody should have. But since companies leave everything out there on a notepad file that they have that makes it sound like it's real.
Probably.
Yeah, sticky note out there on everything. And so we have no privacy of our information anymore. So, they got a hold of it, and they're becoming way more clever with their tactics of calls. Make it sound urgent, of course, is one of the first things to know that it's a scam. And so this is the type of thing that they do. But if I had that bug on my phone and I was like, I'm going to call United Healthcare and make sure that this isn't a scam, it could still come across as being a scam, because
you still get past. They'd still get past it, because you wouldn't know in that sense, because if you're it's supposed to be like the foolproof solution, call yourself, and they even tell you like, we'll never call you, we'll never ask you for a text, we'll never send you text messages, blah blah, and then you're calling, but then it's modifying to the actual scammers. Like it is a clever. It's a clever hack. It's a clever attack. It's horrific, and you're awful people for doing it. But it is a smart. It's a smart one, even if it is awful.
Smart for evil people, and so this is something to be very concerned about. And Android is trying to put some security fixes in place, so they already have a major release or update. I don't know that they've solved this. I could not find information that this particular bug had been solved. Their number one advice is don't install things outside the Play Store.
Yes.
which, a lot of people do. They use F-Droid, they use APKs
For
from
99% of people, that is good advice. Like, just don't sideload stuff, because you don't, if you don't know what you're sideloading, you should not be sideloading it. And if you don't know what sideloading is, you shouldn't be sideloading anything.
Yeah, don't look it up. It's not necessary.
Don't look it up. If you just heard it from me, ignore it. That did not happen.
But, even using the Google Play Store and things, there have been apps that have gotten onto the Play Store. Less, obviously, risk, but there are apps that can get on there that are nefarious as well.
For sure.
So, this is something to just be, cautious of, and know that if it sounds suspicious, the person on there knows some things, but not sounding like they really know things, to maybe grab a different phone and call or something. I don't know. Can we all just go back to wireline, maybe?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is, like, this is like an impressive, interesting thing, but at the same time, it also makes me worried and fearful about just like where we're going. And like every time it's like a giant game of whack-a-mole, because we're just trying to fix, like, make sure everybody's aware that these are things, and then we're trying to fix this other scenario, and then all of a sudden they come up with another one. And, like, for example, people are now aware that you don't click things in email. Well, what if someone sends you an email that seems legit, and you have like an actual conversation with them, and then they send you they send you a link to go on Zoom, and in that Zoom call, that's when they give you the spam or something like that, like or the scamming link and stuff. Like, there's so many different, like, there's a lot of effort putting into it, making these things more sophisticated. So, for a fact, if it doesn't have like good grammar, or if it's like just giving you a random link that you don't know what the URL is going to, you're pretty much good to know that this is nonsense. I've even got to the point where, like, we have people who are asking to be on our podcast, or asking us to be on their podcast, and it's like 50-50 whether it's real or not. And sometimes it's real, and I have been on other podcasts, and sometimes we've brought other people on our show. And then there's at the same times where I'm getting tons of garbage stuff that's clearly bad. So when you have this mess of things just all slammed together, it is hard to tell sometimes. And I feel like it's just getting worse and worse, because the more they get more sophisticated, the more we figure out how to stop it and tell people how to ignore it, they just get more and more sophisticated.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah,
and
it's hard to escape.
It's really unfortunate, because when we go back to the robotics conversation, you guys both mentioned if it's connected to the internet, it's a no-go. And I couldn't imagine them ever selling a robot that's not connected to the internet. They sell us nothing else.
We can't even get video games not connected to the internet.
Right.
How we're going to get
So whoever sells the robot's going to want to connect to the internet. But the damage, even for manufacturing, which is where robots will show up first, is far more greater than even just hacking a computer, because now you have a robot that physically can block a door from the admins getting into the server room to fix the problem. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you've got this physical, moving, human-like thing that can physically be hacked to stop somebody. And it's also
guaranteed to be like 10 times stronger, so they could just like rip things apart and break the manufacturing system and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be crazy. So this is an interesting future. A little doomsday, because there's a happy part of robotics, I feel like, but write us and let us know what you guys think.
Yes.
Maybe we're just going too dark.
There's actually a combination where there's like a thing that's a destructive thing with robots and also happy, and that's BattleBots. BattleBots is awesome.
Yeah, BattleBots are awesome. 100%.
You never seen BattleBots, go look at it on YouTube. It's awesome. And there's even like competition in the BattleBot space now. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Well, Jill, I knew that we were going to go in a little bit dark place with our stories this week, so I gave you a really happy game. Tell us about the game this week.
This game is happy, yes, but it does involve war.
Oh.
Come on, Ryan.
Oh.
But it's a fun escape. So what happens when you combine Warhammer, StarCraft, Warcraft, Cyberpunk, and post-apocalyptic survival? Zephon happens, and it's Zephon is how you spell the game.
Hey, that is happy.
That's Zephon.
Zephon.
Remember?
Zephon?
Stefan.
Zephon.
Zephon.
Steven. Stefan.
Stefan.
Steven. Oh my gosh, Michael. Call back. Kovac, so good. It took me a minute. I just caught up right at the last minute there.
So Zephon has over 341 very positive reviews and describes itself on Steam like this. From the developers of Warhammer 40,000 Gladius, Zephon is a post-apocalyptic 4X strategy game built on Proxy's unique tactical combat system. Guide survivors through a turbulent future, navigating unexpected disasters, eldritch horror, and cyberpunk monstrosities. What will you do to survive? So in this game, you control the survivors of humanity in a near future apocalypse of alien origin. And
Told
you
you it
pick
was
a
happy.
yes, you pick a path between the indifferent abominations of the Voice and the uncaring automata of Zephon. With city
One's
management,
indifferent and one's uncaring.
yes, with city management, turn-based tactical combat, unholy research, diplomatic maneuvering, and branching narrative quests. You gather your allies and pick your actions extremely wisely.
Mhm.
And
Or
this
else.
game, this game has beautifully rendered artwork, a very powerful cinematic, and dreamy looking graphics, which makes Zephon a standout game. And I think it really does. The art and design are really beautiful and very rich. And you can get Zephon on Steam for $39.99. And it supports our Linux penguins out of the box.
Michael
So
think I
thinks
might-
$39.99 is funny.
I think I might have a problem with the dad jokes. I feel like there might be too many in my head because she said this game is very rich. And then I thought, and you also have to be rich in order to play for $39.
to play. Oh, this is true. This is true. I meant rich artistically, but
Yeah, that's just what popped in my head. And I was like, so many dad jokes. I just can't stop.
See,
Well, this
me
one-
in my head,
Yeah.
Jill said $39.99, and then you laughed, and I'm like, is that a funny number? Like,
yeah.
What's so funny about $39?
what's so funny about $39.99?
Aw.
Well, actually,
I-
if you take $10,000 out of that, what do you get, Ryan?
There we go.
9,900
Negative not.
10,000 out of $39.99. Okay,
Yeah.
10,000 minus $39.99.
See?
Well, now I don't
See?
have to
We-
do it
we know
because
good-
I didn't understand it. Thank goodness. All right, so Jill, you recommend this game, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
It looks
So
beautiful.
Here's the great thing. Like, we've got the robots that we talked about, the good things they could do. Then we talked about the fact they're going to destroy us all. Then we have a game that's post-apocalyptic, so you can play out the scenario of the end of the world.
There we go.
Which is
The
fantastic.
our robot overlords taking over.
So for those who don't notice, Ryan is explaining the theme of this episode.
Well, I just want you guys to take a moment and understand the brilliant writing here, because when you go to the software spotlight, it will also fit into the post-apocalyptic theme that we have going here.
Yeah.
Well done.
What's
Very
our software spotlight?
Yes. So if you're a fan of Borderlands, the game, then you've heard of Claptrap, the goofy, funny, and sometimes useful sidekick robot that goes on adventures with you.
I don't know how useful Claptrap is.
Every once in a while, he'd be like,
Every
over
once
here.
in a while. Yeah.
Oh, that's
He'll
true.
give
That's
you
true.
little hints on where to go.
If you ignore where you're supposed to go, he'll eventually start talking to you. That's true. Okay, fair enough.
He does. He does.
Okay.
And our software spotlight is called Clapgrep, and it pays its respect to the robot with its icon and name, but it's also very useful.
More so than Claptrap.
Yes, more so than Claptrap. Sometimes having a GUI is just more convenient than playing in the terminal. And if you need help finding files, then check out the Clapgrep file search GUI tool. All you have to do is simply open the folder with Clapgrep, enter the search term, and Clapgrep will do all the hard work of finding out on which page / line and in which file the information is that you are looking for. Clapgrep can Currently search all sorts of text files, PDFs, and Office documents with more to come. And it is available as a handy flat pack over at flathub.org. And I personally have just started using Clapgrep to find to search our destination Linux files, particularly the PDFs. For after every episode, I always save a PDF of each show, and sometimes I want to find different topics that we've talked about, like 6 months ago, a year ago. So this is a tool that I can use quickly and easily. I've been doing it in the command
Ryan,
line.
wouldn't
all
that be a
these
good
years.
idea if we did you do that?
That's exactly what I was thinking. As the owners of this business, have we ever archived all of our show notes?
In this way, I think the answer to that would be no. That would be no.
Thankfully, we have Jill. We have a Jill.
We have Jill. That's true.
So if we ever lose our server, we at least have Jill, who has it probably backed up on floppy disks too.
I do have some of them on floppy disk. Truly.
Thank goodness.
Of course, perfect.
Yeah. The history will be stored forever. Jill, that's amazing. It's very awesome. By the way, talking of Borderlands and the Warhammer above, the creators of that game, I have started playing this game called Darktide, Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. Really, really enjoying the whole Warhammer world. And one of the things that the Warhammer world is about is spending lots of money because the stuff's very expensive, but also painting these models. And so I ordered a starter kit to start painting these models with my son and daughter.
Nice.
I think it would be really fun to do that. So I've got all the paints and I've got the little characters, and I spent way too much money on pieces of plastic to paint. And then we'll play this game. But the Warhammer world is just awesome. And it's post-apocalyptic, of course, as well, fitting into our theme of our show really well. But just reminded me the Borderlands and then the Warhammer thing.
Nice.
That I'm getting into Warhammer. So if you have any advice for those in the audience,
don't get into Warhammer if you want to save
into
money.
Warhammer. Besides, don't get into Warhammer because it's a money sink like magic. Let me know. I'd be very interested. And also, if you have any of those models, those $500 robots and things just sitting around your house, you want to send to me
that you're not interested in having anymore.
Yeah, just shoot them my way. I'll send you a PO box. Yeah, appreciate it. All right, Jill, what's the tip of the week?
Yeah, so the tip of the week this week is an app called Polychromatic. This app actually lets you control all the various elements of your Razer devices and peripherals, including keyboards.
About post-apocalyptic right here.
Yes.
You have Razer.
You have Razer, including keyboards, mice, keypads, headsets,
customize your robot,
laptops, and more. You can change everything, including DPI, polling rate, brightness, and device-specific hardware functions like game mode. The software also lets you view device information like firmware version, serial number, battery levels, and can test individually addressable LEDs. And you can create your own RGB lighting effects and animations using the effect editor, which is great for key mapping a game application or just for some cool ambience. And Polychromatic uses the fabulous OpenRazer on the back end, which I've been using since its first release in 2016 to adjust the RGB on my Razer Black Widow Chroma keyboard. I remember being so excited because I got that keyboard as a gift from my husband, and I couldn't control the lights on Linux until OpenRazer came along. And now we have a fabulous GUI like Polychromatic to make it even easier. It's so
that's
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
so there's one thing I have to ask you a question though. So how much does this application do? I've tried Polychromatic in the past and OpenRazer in the past, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
I now use a different mouse, but I do have a Razer mouse. And I was hoping to find something where we could edit the configs of stuff like that. But it seems like it's more of like the RGB related.
It's more of the unicorn vomit manipulation.
But it says you can do some polling numbers and stuff for certain devices, right? But it's through the terminal.
Yeah,
portion of it.
The terminal, and I have done firmware updates using the terminal too as well.
So that's the OpenRazer part of it thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I gotcha.
So Polychromatic, I think, is more of the RGB, and the OpenRazer is like a combination between that. You put those together to be more easy using with the GUI side of it. And this is cool. And I have played with the RGB of my mouse for it, and it works. But I do wish we could have some like configuration of the mice, because the only thing, like, it only works on Windows, like literally nothing else.
I know. Yeah.
And so Razer, just so if you're watching, stop it. Stop it.
Adjust those buttons.
And also, just quick side note, they have proprietary chargers on their mice. Like this cable is proprietary, except it's micro USB. So the only reason it's proprietary is because there's like little slots that this goes into, and you have to have that cable to plug it in. Like that's just so lame. I mean, anyway,
well, it's not. It's lame. It's terribly lame, but it's not as lame as Apple releasing a new version of its Magic Mouse that you still have to turn upside down to charge.
To charge it, like, ridiculous.
The one thing you needed to fix, Apple. Like, how unbelievably arrogant are you? Oh my gosh.
That is a great point. The worst mouse design is 100% the Apple mouse you have to kill the mouse and then charge it.
And they doubled down on it. They released a new version with the same. They're like, you know what? We're not fixing it. You still have to turn the mouse over, because you know why? You guys said you didn't like it, so we're going to make you buy it anyways, because we know you Apple fanboys will. And it's kind of like GNOME with the app indicator. They just keep doubling down on the same bad decision. Like, nope. Yeah. Could change it, because even though we know it's terrible, we're still sticking with it.
Sometimes consistency is good, and sometimes is not. Just keep that in mind. And also, at least the Razer connector, if you find something that fits perfectly inside this thing, it might be theoretically possible. But the Apple one, you can never fix it having a charger upside down. Like that is so stupid.
Did you hear about this one too, Michael? The Mac Mini they released, which is actually really good value now. It's pretty decent value for what you get. But they put the power button underneath it.
Underneath, yeah. Apple
they also claim that if there's enough space for your finger to go under to hit it.
Well, everyone has different sized fingers. You have tiny thumbs. Sure, you could slide them in there and hit it. But
I do not have tiny thumbs.
Big fingers, and I would have a really hard time getting my hand under that thing. Like, how big is the still? Everyone has different size hands. Why is this even a question?
I know.
You just put it on the outside, and it doesn't matter what anyone's hand size is.
Okay, I also have to remind you, they are also the company who made the computer trash can. Yeah. So, I mean,
but at least it had the power button on the front.
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
Unbelievable to put a power button underneath a computer. It is so unbelievably stupid. But they'll double down on it, and their fans will back them and say things like, "Well,
it's so ergonomic." Yeah, it's so ergonomic. It's the best. But I was just saying, like, what I was not it could be clear. Ryan just made a joke like I was a fanboy. I just want to make it clear that people are saying that it is okay, but I have never used it, obviously, to say anything. But just conceptually, it's very stupid, because you could just put it on the top
Michael
or the side.
A fanboy. Send us your comments and write in where you think Michael turned in. Like, what episode do you think Michael switched to an Apple fanboy? And just give a little bit of facts and then make up the rest and send it.
I actually hate this thing because, to be fair, I do have an iPhone now. So that but the rest of it, I still think most of their stuff is nonsense. But
put some of your facts in there, make up the rest, and I'll read it on the show as facts.
You don't need to put in the facts. Ryan is just going to make it up anyway. You just send a bunch of stuff around. It's like, I like this one. This made up thing is good. I'll use that.
Oh,
awesome. Perfect.
So back to polychromatic.
Well, no, we can't go back. We're done with it. We already said it had a flat pack.
But you need to go to flathub.org and pick up the flat pack for polychromatic. It's awesome.
Okay. Awesome. Well, listen, we're over an hour again. We've done it again, guys. We've run our mouth.
We got through more than one topic this time, though.
We're doing good. We're improving. We're improving. Well, a big thank you to each and every one of you for supporting us by watching or listening to Destination Linux. However you do it, we're hugging your faces. Join us in our Discord at tuxdigital.com/Discord.
And if you want to support the show, you can go to tuxdigital.com/membership and become a patron. And you get a bunch of cool perks, like being able to watch the show live. You can get unedited episodes of the show. You can get even merch discounts that we're going to be launching pretty soon, and so much more. And also Speaking of merch, go to tuxdigital.com/store to get cool stuff like hats, mugs, hoodies, t-shirts, and so much more at tuxdigital.com/store.
And make sure to check out all the amazing shows here on Tux Digital. That's right, we have an entire network of shows to fill your whole week with geeky goodness. Head to tuxdigital.com to keep those Linux penguins marching.
Very good. Everyone, stay strong this week. And remember, even in rugged times, the journey itself is just as vital as the destination. Keep moving forward, everyone.
Oh, big hugs.
That was
post-apocalyptic.
That was a very weird way of saying it. First of all, how long have you been planning to do it that way? Did you have to
5 seconds ago and ChatGPT wrote it.
I was about to ask the AI to write that. That sounded very AI based.
When Jill was talking and you saw me looking down, I was writing as fast as I could. Get my post-apocalyptic.
Convert this into post-apocalyptic.
Yes, that's exactly what I wrote. Yep.
Nice. All right. Thanks for coming to the show, everybody. We'll see you next week for another episode of your destination of Linux.
Yay. Big hugs again.
Little hugs from me.
To your face.
See ya.